What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Dynasty Talk Podcast. Tonight, we just got the Roosum Twosome tonight, which is Let the Wookiee Win. That's Chris.
Wow, that was by far the worst one I've done. But hey.
Yeah, the Roosum Twosome not starting out strong with a terrible Wookiee call to start us off. Of
Yeah.
course, the other side of that coin would be myself, Potent Lucas, and it's just us two tonight. So we're going to jump right in and see if we can knock out a few of these topics. You guys know our structure is 4 downs, just like real football. How cute. We'll begin with first down, which is this week's games, and we got some barn burners right now.
Yeah, I know Julius and I are in a potentially tight one here. If Rondell Moore can ever get anything going, he might have a shot, and it's a nice battle for first overall pick.
Yeah, he needs exactly 19 points exactly from Rondell Moore, and he's starting out with negative -0.6. Not a good start.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's a negative 6 yard rush of all things too, but
Yeah, very
the guy
first
had a
very
really hard
first play of the game. But I've
yeah.
got the Arizona defense who is currently pitching a shutout, and I'm assuming that will not continue. So I'll be losing points as the night goes on.
I just realized that you do have the Cardinals defense. I overlooked that.
Yeah.
That is a good point. I think there's a chance Rondell Moore could end up winning. He had 11 targets last week. I'm hoping that DeAndre Hopkins doesn't get any more targets tonight. So I'm kind of rooting for Julius here. I don't have any stake in this at all. I know you're rooting for Julius as well.
Yeah,
But
it would be nice. I thought I was for sure gonna win and be two in a row, which my situation isn't necessarily the best thing to be happening right now at the end when I started out so strong at 0-9. Um, but if I win, I win.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you have a lot of picks, and honestly, all of you guys are in the same spot, so you still have a chance at number one, even if you do win. I
Yeah.
think it's very likely you end up at number one, even if you do win, because you're still a game in front of Julius, Max, and Nate. And if you beat Julius, obviously he will tighten that window for Max and Nate as well, making it a 4-person race, which is kind of alarming.
Oh, and don't
Um,
and don't forget about Bill, who's about to be 3-8 as well.
Man, I,
So
I just don't see Bills being that same team. But yeah, you're
no,
absolutely right.
yeah, his
5 teams vying for number one now if you win tonight.
yeah, correct.
That is crazy. I am glad I'm not down there. I'm glad I'm trying to make a playoff push instead. Real quick, to touch on the other games, we've got your game we just mentioned. Fife has wiped the floor with Valerian Steelers. Joe Buck yourself does it again, 147 points. Tight one between Nate, who we also believe is, a possible tanker. He has a chance of beating your dad, my ball, Zach Ertz. That's Rick. I think Rick's going to pull this one out, though. It's looking likely, which is
Yeah,
to my dismay. Uh, Tom is definitely going to win against Bill. That one is almost over. I think Bill has one person playing right now, but it's Robbie Gould. That's right. Now, that's who Robbie Gould came from. We talked about that earlier.
yeah,
And then it looks like there's still a chance for Max. However, nope. I spoke too soon. Christian McCaffrey just got another carry for looks about 20 yards. So
yeah,
that game is officially over unless there's fumbles that happen. But it looks like Max will lose that one, which is not good for you. And then our final game, which seems like it's the biggest game right now, which is myself versus Ricky. Currently a score of 101.5 to 88.8. I am currently predicted to win by 2 points, but it's not looking good for me, and I'm a little terrified. He's got DeAndre Hopkins, who's already got 3 catches for 40 yards, George Kittle, and San Francisco's defense. And all I have is Deebo Samuel to keep me alive. So there's that.
yeah. That one. I have a feeling Ricky's gonna pull that one out.
Yeah, I haven't felt good about it. I just don't feel good about going against DeAndre Hopkins, which again
You
is
never
my old
should.
player that I traded Ricky.
Oh, and don't
So
and don't forget that I drafted DeAndre Hopkins with my first pick ever in our startup draft. So
wow, your first pick in the first round, or your first round pick of the starter draft.
yeah, I
Got
think
you.
I think I took him at 111 6 years ago.
I know you've told me this recently, probably even on a podcast too, but who did I trade you for DeAndre Hopkins?
So I gave you DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen and I think it was essentially for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and that was the year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. So it also
Yeah.
got me a Super Bowl. So at the time, it was definitely worth it. So
That adds up, and and Julio, I believe, is my first overall pick in the starter draft.
yeah,
Just FYI.
I think so.
Julio, I believe what I had said to you during that trade too, if I remember this correctly, was that
I actually think I might have
yeah,
got Tyler Lockett from you in that trade as well, but I'm not. I can't remember for sure.
yeah, that does sound likely because I know I had Tyler Lockett at one point as well. Um, but I believe I said to you that I thought Julio was washed up, and I wanted to trade him at the highest peak of his value, and
Yeah.
then of course traded him for two other players that have proven in recent years that they're also maybe a little washed up outside of DeAndre Hopkins coming back real strong after the suspension. Um, but I mean, I also did that again, and history repeats itself. Me trading both of those players to Ricky, the same players that you traded me, Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins. I traded them to Ricky for draft picks, which essentially became, I believe, they became my 7th overall pick. So that must have been that one is Garrett Wilson, and I don't know who else, but Garrett Wilson and possibly Rondell Moore, or no, Wandale Robinson. I mean, and Wandale Robinson I used to get Ezekiel Elliott. So history repeats itself.
Yeah.
All right.
It certainly does.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to second down. Like I said before, that was week 11. There is officially going to be how many more weeks till the playoffs? I probably should have had that ready to go, but I
Three
already
more.
forgot.
We've got 3 more weeks.
3 more weeks before the playoffs. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the standings right now. We'll do a little playoff picture in the second down here. But our league's looking pretty wrapped up in the South. I don't think anything will really change besides maybe who finishes last place and who finishes fourth place, which is all up in the air. But it looks to be pretty much settled that Joe Buck yourself will probably win the South. Obviously, Ricky could make a push, but it's not looking likely. No, actually, I think he's officially out. Even if he wins tonight, with Joe Buck yourself winning tonight, I think he's officially out. So that would make Ricky almost officially in second place unless Tom wins out and Ricky loses out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then Tom will finish in third place. So our playoffs are set in the South.
Yeah, at least the top 3 is. I know. I mean, the bottom 3, there's definitely no one's getting in from there. So
No chance that anybody could sneak in over Tom.
no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Even Julius going 4-7, he's still going to be 2 games out of catching up to Tom there, and I just don't. I find it unlikely we're going to have all 4 teams from the North make it, although we've done it before. But it ends up shaking out 3-3. Although I know you've got a cake matchup next week against me, so there's hope.
True. I kind of did forget because it's always been that way. I kind of forgot that there doesn't have to be 3 players from the South.
No, there doesn't. It's just it typically works out that way. I think we've had it twice where we've had 4 from the North and 2 from the South.
Yes, I kind of did forget about that because it's been so many years now that's happened. Since it's happened,
Yeah.
that I definitely can see that happening again here. History does repeat itself, as I said earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be an interesting. I'm more interested for how the playoffs are going to shake out because there's a couple teams that have pretty intimidating rosters at least. But as we've seen, I think everybody, even all our top teams this year, there's been weeks where they just don't produce for whatever reason. It's just kind of the up and down of the NFL when you just have things happen that you don't expect, like the Jets beating the Bills and those type of situations, or the Carolina Panthers beating the Bucks. So it's gonna be interesting to see who actually makes it out, because the teams who look like the best teams right now very easily could just slip up and lose in the first round. It's happened before.
Yeah. That is a good point. We've seen a lot of first-round exits from a lot of teams. So yeah, thinking with 3 weeks left. Looking at my schedule, I don't think it's going to be a situation in which Tom really can lose a couple more games and still find himself in, because I do think that there's, between your dad and Eric, they both probably have the tiebreaker over Tom, which is surprising of a team that just won the championship last year. So,
I mean, one, you sound like you're in a submarine.
oh, my bad.
But
That.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tom, I think Tom will end up having the tiebreaker and scoring more points than Eric, just because I don't know that Eric's got a couple guys that, like, between Hertz, Jacobs, and Tyreek Hill. Yeah, that's a lot of points that can happen at any week. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's really up in the air.
I mean, the thing is, we know who the two best teams are, and everybody's hoping they can beat those teams in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean,
I think
there's four teams hoping to be, the Cinderella story and make it to the Super Bowl, but I just don't see it happening. It's going to be those two teams probably the whole way. I just think they're too good. They're too deep. Unless, some major injury happens to a key place they don't have backups, like quarterback Malcolm.
Yeah, so obviously it looks like with both Malcolm and Robert Fife winning this week, they're obviously the front runners. They're both going to be 10-1 with 3 games left. So their chances of making the playoffs are both at 100% at this point, because they're in. They're probably going to win their conferences as well. That's probably even almost 100% now at this point as well. However, if you were to give each one of these teams a percentage ranking of making the playoffs, what would you give me? We'll start with Ricky at 7-3 and on the verge of losing to me at the moment.
So he's gonna end up 7-4 at the end of this. I mean,
if he loses to me, he'd be 7-4. But DeAndre Hopkins, as I said, that caught another pass, and he is looking. He's now currently projected to lose to me by 1 point. So that is going to be a close game.
But anyways, you're talking about just the percentage chance. I think that he makes the playoffs.
He makes the playoffs, correct? Taking into account that he could lose tonight, but you don't know one way or the other.
Oh, I think it's like I would say it is 85-90% chance he's in the playoffs. I think it'd be very difficult for him to not make it.
Yeah, I would say 85%. That's about where I was. Let's do your dad. Your dad has won this week. He is also going to be 7-4 if he wins this week, which is looking likely.
I would have to look at his remaining schedule, because I know for whatever reason he always ends up having tough draws for whatever reason.
Good point. I guess the schedules would play out into this a little better, for sure.
But well, hold on. Let me check just to make sure. I have no idea how to find it. Looking on, here we go.
So your dad plays me next week. Then he plays Bill week 13, and then he plays Ricky week 14. So not an easy schedule, but Bill doesn't seem like a super hard game either.
No.
I could definitely. I mean, worst case, he probably goes 1-2, which he's in. So I'll say 90% chance he makes it out.
I'm gonna say he's like 70, 75.
I just don't see his team missing.
I mean, to me, 75% is a pretty damn good chance of making the playoffs. I just giving either other than Malcolm or Fife, giving any team 100% outrageous.
True, that's true. So check out Tom. So Tom has Ricky next week.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Max week 13. And he's got
Max showed this week that team's no pushover. He would beat anybody except for Malcolm, basically.
And Eric in week 14 is definitely no pushover, and Eric's probably going to be pushing his way to get into the playoffs at that point. So he's not going to be forgetting to set any rosters, and he's going to be taking into consideration a lot. Probably be heavy on the waiver wire the next couple of weeks. I can see Eric giving it his all in that final game of the season.
Yeah, I can get I'm thinking Eric and Tom are both at like 60%, and then I'm thinking you're probably at 50 at the bottom of that list.
So you think they're both at 60 between him and Eric, and I'm at 50.
Yeah, I think you're going to be the odd man out of the situation, personally.
So I will say Tom is a 60% chance after looking at this. I think he's got a better chance now after kind of looking at this, because he's got that gimme in the middle. Not that Max is a gimme, but I mean he's not trying to win necessarily. But moving on, I think Eric's the odd man out. I mean, looking at his schedule now too, after seeing it, I mean, Eric's got Bill next week, which isn't going to be a hard game necessarily, but it's not going to be an easy game. Bill seems like he's trying to win consistently.
Yeah, I
And then you
mean,
got
Bill's not gonna just give up.
no, but then week 13 he's got Malcolm, and then week 14 he's got Tom. So, and he's losing this week. He's already lost this week, so he'll be 6-5. So if he loses out, that would put him at 6-8, and I think he's the odd man out. I give him a 33% chance of making the playoffs.
Who?
I think he's the odd man out.
Bill?
And I think he's the old.
Is that who you're talking about?
I'm talking about Valyrian Steelers, Eric.
Oh, Eric. No. Yeah, I don't know. That team consistently makes the playoffs, so.
Eric?
Yeah.
I believe last year was the first time he's made the playoffs.
I just could have swore he's done. Hey, you're probably right.
However,
Now I'm thinking about it, but
owned by other people in the past, but I don't think that team may have made the playoffs before, but I just don't even remember. But it was clearly run by somebody else when it did, outside of Eric. Eric had top 3 picks, I think, for his first 3 seasons here, maybe 2 seasons here. I think he's in his 5th year now in the league.
Okay.
We're in year 7, correct?
Yeah, I think so. That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah. I believe he's been here. I think he's in his 5th season now, or if not his 4th season. But I know he drafted Josh Jacobs, so that factors into me. I know he personally drafted Josh Jacobs, and that might have been when he took over the team. So maybe it's in year 4. Maybe he's in his 4th season. So he drafted Josh Jacobs, had 2 bad seasons, and made the playoffs last year.
All I know is I still personally believe you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I like it. I like that take, considering you and I on this podcast tonight too. So, not really anything to talk about. I mean, I did kind of want to address tiebreakers, but I mean, I don't think that's necessarily super important. I don't think there's really going to be a whole lot of factors we can really talk about yet until it gets a little closer. Let's move on. Third down.
Let's do it.
So third down. To do third down, I'm going to have to go ahead and pull up the draft. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to redraft only rookies, as if Chris and I were redrafting our Dynasty rookie draft again right now. So this is going to be obviously different than what we actually drafted. So
first pick, Marlon Mack.
Yeah, so Marlon Mack was the consensus first pick. It is Marlon Mack that's on here as the best free agent available for some reason, even though he's not playing anywhere. And J.D. McKissick on IR underneath him. So that's
I'm pretty sure that's how the it ended once our actual draft was over. That's why it's up there.
Oh, you really think so? And Trey Sermon's there. You're probably right.
Yeah, because I immediately picked up Marlon Mack.
All right, so let's go with the number 1 pick. That's me, so I'll take the 1, you take the 2,
Gotcha.
and so on and so on. At number 1, we're not going to play for the teams or anything like that. We're just going to go strictly based on value, right?
Yeah, based off value if we were doing a startup draft today, or a rookie draft today.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So number 1, this might be a shocker to somebody because had Breece Hall not gotten hurt, I would have be picking Breece Hall here and it wouldn't even be close. However, things have changed since Breece Hall got hurt. And for that reason, I'm going to take who I think has been the most electrifying player that I've seen this season outside of maybe Breece Hall as a rookie, running back-wise at least, because there's definitely a couple wide receivers that might look a little more electrifying. And that is going to be Kenneth Walker. Number 1, he has looked fantastic despite last week against the Bucs having his worst game of his career, 10 carries for 17 yards. I'm not going to give up on him yet. I like what they're doing over there in Seattle, and I'm bought in. So Kenneth Walker, number 1, and your pick at number 2.
Yeah, Ken Walker's been a beast. I can't really argue with that a whole lot, but like what you were saying before, I still can't. Even though Breece Hall got hurt, before he got hurt, he looked like he's everything that he was supposed to be. So to me, I personally would take him at 1 and Walker at 2, but once again, I totally get if you look at it the other way. Because they both look awesome when they're on the field. So,
yeah, tomato, man. It's I really wouldn't hate either one of those picks, and I'd probably be happy either way.
Yeah.
Well, that's number 3 for me, and I'm surprisingly between 2 players here. I'm either between the running back Damon Pierce or the wide receiver Chris Olave. And I will go with what I believe to be the sexier pick because you kind of stole him from me in the draft, and that was Chris Olave. I didn't not necessarily stole him from me. I just obviously expressed my pleasure in wanting to get Chris Olave at 5 or 7, and you took that opportunity at number 6 to go ahead and draft him.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I will go ahead and take Chris Olave in this redraft at number 3.
I think that's where he should be. I mean, out of the receivers so far, I mean, we'll talk about the other ones eventually, I'm sure. But like, I yeah, I'm very very happy that I have Chris Olave on my team. I know plenty of people have tried to get him from me, and I'm sure they will continue to try for the next year or so, if not longer, hopefully. But yeah, man, he looks like he's the real deal.
Absolutely. I don't imagine anyone's going to be giving you enough value for what I believe you think Chris Olave is worth, and I think that that's kind of going to be the problem there.
I mean,
But I think there's 2 players that are pretty much untouchable on your team, and that's Olave and the Sun God.
yeah. Currently, those are probably the two. But yeah, I mean, that's two is kind of getting to that point too. But like my team, I just have to look at literally foundation pieces, and that's going to be one of them, obviously. But anyways, moving on. Enough of my team. 4 is yes, Damian Pierce. I was wrong. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
100% take Damian Pierce. Like, I regret that I had all these picks in the first round and I passed on him twice.
yeah. I think we all feel that regret a little bit, and
Yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, great pick for Fife. I really do like that pick because he cashed in on that pick as well.
yeah, he
He was
did.
bought into him the same way everybody else was, and probably even as bought in as Ricky was. And Ricky literally just paid the price that nobody else would have been willing to pay, an offer he couldn't refuse, and we allowed it as commissioners, and we applaud everybody across the board for that. And until it backfires, which I'm hoping it never does.
Yeah,
So, um, moving on to number 5. This should be no surprise to anybody that talked to me at the start of the year, but that's going to be Christian Watson. I think that all my hype on Christian Watson has been sold as having having a reason for it at this point, and I'm totally bought into the hype. I started Christian Watson in almost every one of my fantasy leagues last year, including or last week, including all redraft leagues, except for one. And I'm regretting not starting him in that one, of course. But I'm bought in, and I feel like it's paid off for me in dividends so far. And I love the fact that I have him for the future, even when Aaron Rodgers is gone. But I think this changes things for Aaron Rodgers, honestly. I think this might make Aaron Rodgers think that he's got something left in the tank because he's got Christian Watson. Maybe get another weapon outside of Christian Watson on the other side, and Romeo Dobbs in the slot. And this could be looking pretty good in the future.
I mean, I think that's outrageous. It. I would probably had a few people in front of him still, but just because 2 weeks isn't enough for me to be like, oh yeah, he's one of the 5 best players in that draft. But I get why you're excited.
I mean, he has been so sexy in 2 weeks. Like nobody has shown his explosiveness in 2 weeks that no other rookie's shown that except for what maybe 1 week from Brees Hall and 1 week from Damon Pierce. Nobody else has had back-to-back weeks like he's had.
Correct, but it's not. A lot of that has to do with Aaron Rodgers too.
Well, I think I just lied anyway because I'm pretty confident Kenneth Walker had monster weeks back to back, which he did. There was not a 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks, but he did have a 97-yard rushing game with 1 touchdown, and also
I
a
mean,
167-yard rushing game with 2 touchdowns in back-to-back weeks.
I mean,
So Kenneth Walker
it's
has done it.
it's very very likely that Christian Watson will never score 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks ever again in his career. It's just highly unlikely.
Have you seen the
How
guy's
how
hands?
many how many other people do that? Nobody really. Like it's just, that
Mike Evans, and he looks like Mike Evans, but faster.
I doubt Mike Evans has scored 5 touchdowns in back-to-back week in a 2 week span that many times in his career.
I guarantee he's done it at least 3 times.
In 9 years, that's what I'm saying. Like you're telling me that
When you
Christian
said
Watson,
you'll never do
you're
it
gonna
ever
you're
again,
gonna compare Christian Watson after 2 weeks to a guy who's had over 1,000 yards receiving every year of his career for almost a decade. Like I'm sorry, man. After 2 weeks, that's an outrageous comparison. Like it's outrageous.
we'll move on. We're digressing into a rabbit hole of Christian Watts fandom that we just can't we can't get past that. So you're at number 6 here. So far, just to recap real quick, we got Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, we've got Chris Olave, we've got Damon Pierce, and we've got Christian Watson. That's our top 5. We are at number 6.
I think 6. I am still just because talent. You've seen it enough. I think part of the problem is the situation, but like I still think Garrett Wilson is probably. I would still take at 6 if that's what was left on the board.
Yeah, I got no issue taking
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson there. Who else were you thinking of? Like, who were you thinking of as the secondary person next to them? I'm curious.
After Garrett
'Cause
Wilson,
you got a lot of options there.
after Garrett Wilson, my pick George Pickens.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was thinking. At 7.
Without a doubt, and like he probably should go at 6, but I don't know why. But yeah, Pickens is definitely the other guy. I would have put both. I would have put both of them in front of Christian Watson just because I think they're just better all around type players. Where Christian Watson's kind of a. I don't know if he can do everything or if he can just do that one thing, but he's good at the one thing. I'll give him that.
True. I mean, Garrett Wilson's definitely a very complete player from what we've seen. That is, there's no question about that.
I just think Pickens is a freak. That's why I would put him there.
No, I think that's who I would go at 7 here. Yeah. That's why I was curious. I'm not going to ignore the fact that I just saw Treylon Burks' coming out party on Thursday night.
Yeah, true.
That was enough for me to be totally bought in on him. He looked phenomenal in that game. And
losing you. And you're gone. Now that is you're back.
I was saying George Pickens is a freak. I'm going to go that 7 over Treylon. You hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I agree. That's the right decision. And the other, so I'm going to try to move through this faster now. We've kind of got the big names out of the way. Or bigger names, put it that way. But yeah, 8, the one, he's been hurt, but Jahan Dotson, man, the little bit he has been healthy, yeah, I was sold. Which is about where he went in our regular draft, just he's going a little bit earlier now. But yeah, I think he's, once again, Washington's a terrible situation, but just talent-wise, yeah, he's good.
yeah, that's fair. And yeah, he's going 2 spots earlier if you draft him there, which is not much of a reach, and he's looked good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got a future in that offense. I think they like all 3 of those receivers, which is an interesting situation.
Yeah.
Once they get a quarterback outside of Heineke, that's gonna be a great situation for a quarterback that's competent, not Carson Wentz.
Especially because they've got between Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, that's nice. It's a nice set of backs.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So I'm at number 9. This one's a little tough for me. He's starting to get a little tougher here.
This one's still easy for me. If you need help.
I mean, I'm on the fence between James Cook here or Treylon Burks, and I'm gonna go ahead.
Don't forget about your other boys still.
Drake London, I know. I'm just so disappointed with that way that offense has looked so far. They're not giving him the ball. He's good.
No, they just run the shit out of the ball. Like that's just what it is.
He got that touchdown last week in like the first few minutes of the game, and then he didn't get another catch the whole rest of the game.
Yeah. Anyways, pick at 9. Who are you picking?
Yeah, you're right. Number 9. Let's go ahead and go James Cook. I like what I've seen. That's a good offense. Josh Allen's not going anywhere. Number 9, James Cook.
Yeah. See, I mean, I drafted him. I don't think I would put him there. I'll put who I would rather have right now as a running back, probably Rachaad White. I'm sold on him. The numbers aren't there, but I've seen it. I've seen enough to be like, yeah, I think he's a guy that didn't go in the first round that probably should have.
Yeah, that's fair. He looks good too. That's a competent offense.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to be uncompetent just when Brady leaves.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's going to be a pretty solid offense for years to come. Easy one for me at number 11 then. I'm going to go ahead and go Treylon Burks. He looked like a freak on Thursday night, and I'm sold.
Yeah,
Treylon Burks.
2 to 11 is quite the fall.
Yeah, for real. Crazy fall, and I still don't fault Bill anymore for taking him at number 2. Because Thursday night, it was the first time I saw it, and if that's what he's going to play like, then let's go, because that guy's real good. Every one of these rookie receivers looks like they're really good. But Traylon Burks looks like he can play with the Olaves and the Christian Watsons of the world, in my opinion. So
Yeah. And then picking at 12, Jamison Williams, because still think he's the best player in the draft. We just haven't seen it yet.
yeah, I love that pick for you because I knew it was coming too, and that makes it easy for me at 201 to go Drake London, and I feel like I
Yeah.
got him as a steal, and I don't feel like I lost a chance to get him. So
Yeah.
back on you at 202.
Yeah. I mean, we're going through the whole second round. And then at that point, Tyler Algier probably, just because I actually rewind. I take that back. Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I was gonna say Brian Robinson's also there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Yeah, running backs, obviously. I mean, you and I are in the same boat. We knew each other. We knew we were going to be taking running backs here. That's just going to be us. So that was 202. So we're at 203. And here is about where I'm going back to wide receiverville. And this one's a little tougher for me, but I'm going to go ahead and take Romeo Dobbs over
Yeah.
Wandell Robinson.
Yeah.
But yeah, for reasons of just that offense in general.
Yeah. And then at 204, instead of taking John Mechie, which I did in the actual draft, I would take Isaiah Pacheco at this point.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco also there. So Algier's still on the board at 205 or
Yeah.
204 now. So I'm fine with that too, though. 204, I'll come back and take Wandell Robinson right there.
Considering Nate got him at 406, then yeah. But
Yeah.
I might be reaching on him just like I am on Rashad
No.
White. Because
Pacheco's
my-
to be
My eyes are
clearly-
very, very big for running backs right now. Because I've got a whole team full of receivers, so like I'm paying very close attention to running backs.
fair. I don't think there's any issue. I have no issue with taking Pacheco even in the first round. I think that's probably a wild thing, but I got no issue with it at all.
That's
None.
fair.
I just wouldn't do it. So we're on 206.
Yeah. Yes.
That's you.
No, I just took Pacheco at 4.
Oh, that was 206.
So yeah,
Pacheco?
you're at 5. Never mind, we're at 5.
Oh, my bad. I'm at 5. So 205. There is probably where I'll go ahead and take Tyler Algier.
Right where you went.
No, you took you changed your mind and you went ahead with Brian Robinson.
No, I said right at where he went in the actual draft was 205.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you said he already went. Okay, gotcha.
No,
So
yeah,
205 Algier, right where he went. Agreed. All right, 206.
Yeah, 206. This is one of those where I mean, it sucks that he got hurt the other day, but probably Wandell Robinson just because he looks. He reminds me of the Kadarius Toney kind of stuff. He's not as nearly as explosive, but it feels like he's gonna play a lot more games in his career than Kadarius Toney is.
Yeah, I think he will too. Actually, and he's playing in the slot a lot more than Kadarius did as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that a lot. On board. This is 207, which is exactly where I took Alec Pierce, and I was thinking about him there, but I like somebody else better, and that's down there. There's Greg Dulcich, tight end, 207. I'll go ahead and take him there and be happy with that one.
Well, it's funny that you're saying that because, like, I was just kind of thinking in the tight end range, and it's one of those. I think it's too early just because the thing. But fucking Isaiah Likely, my goodness, man, that's one that I didn't really see coming either. He's good. He's just got Mark Andrews to deal with. Anyways,
Got to give all the credit for me taking Isaiah Likely in free agency right after the draft.
Yeah.
He was the first player I took, I think seconds after the draft ended. I went on there and I kept an open spot just to take somebody, and that was my choice.
yeah,
But I have to give all the credit because footballguys.com was talking up about him at training camp, saying that he was a freak and that he is currently being listed as a tight end, but he might be playing wide receiver at some point, and the wide receiver room is not deep in Baltimore. So go ahead and stash him, and that was like their sleeper pick, and that was the only reason why I even looked at Likely. I only saw him play in the preseason like one time, and I think that was even after I drafted him. So, yeah. Are you taking Likely there, by the way? Is that what you're taking?
No. I was thinking tight end, and I had that other thought. I'm like, well, would I rather have him or Likely right now? I'm like, nah, I'd rather have Dulcich, which I do.
Yeah, I mean, Dulcich could become a victim to just a team that's in disarray, especially after last night.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've got too many Broncos.
So you're at 207. Who you taking
207, I would take Alec Pierce at that point just because I still think same thing. The talent, I still think he's going to be good. It's just they're working through some things in Indianapolis at the moment.
he could become a victim because of them looking good while coming about it. I mean,
Yeah,
they looked good yesterday too, which is
they did.
crazy. To be clear, that's 208, not 207. You're on the even
Yeah.
on the odds. So 209 for me. Just by I guess just having the opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and pick him. But that's Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Just looks like he's going to be the starter for the next foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and get that guy. I'm bought into the fact that he's a starter and he's done okay.
Yeah, they're at least gonna give him a shot.
Yeah, better drafting than Malik Willis, who I drafted 5 spots before him.
Yeah.
Well, I traded him for Trevor Lawrence, so that worked.
Man, this is where it gets incredibly tough.
We're at
210.
210 here. Only 3 spots left. 210.
At this point, I think it's probably safe to where we could have taken Isaiah Spiller because it does look like he's the
He
guy who's
looked
gonna
good last night.
he's gonna take over after Eckler, and I still think
Yep.
he's good.
Oh, I like Isaiah Spiller there too. I was just thinking about him next. He looked good.
Yeah.
There's no issue with what I saw from him at all. I mean, other options for me now at 211. I mean, there's a couple good ones here. I like Kyron Williams at 211. I don't mind that. Or Tyquan Thornton. Zamir White's gotten some touches and shown some flashes in preseason. But I'm going to go ahead and take John Mechie. Got no problem taking him there at 211 and feeling good about that one. Giving it a year and see what he does when he comes back.
I agree. And now I think this steal of this draft, but maybe not of the actual draft, I'd probably take Sky Moore here just as, once again, kind of the same thing that you're saying with Mechie. We'll see next year.
Yeah, so I did forget about Sky Moore for the last 2 picks, but I did not forget about him going midway through the second round, and I was like, I don't even care.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because to me it just wasn't. He's just been so underutilized since he's been there. Now, granted, there's a shit ton of them, to catch passes there. So.
Yeah, I mean, he did catch 5 catches for 63 yards last night as well.
Yeah, but how many people weren't playing?
A lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's why I don't think it's now, but doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I still think he's good. That's why you would have to take him in the first 2 rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that for sure. Just news for everybody that's waiting to know about me and Ricky's game, because I know there's a lot of you on the edge of your seat. DeAndre Hopkins is now 7 catches for 77 yards. Still about 2 minutes left in the second quarter. He's looking pretty good. Also, George Kittle caught a touchdown pass while we were talking, so that's fun. So it's looking like Ricky will probably beat me this week unless Deebo Samuel makes some sort of miraculous comeback.
And it appears Rondale Moore has been injured, so I think I'm going to end up winning.
Wow, what a crazy turn of events. Rondale Moore injured.
And the Cardinals defense only has 1 point right now. I had a shot too.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, 1 point right now. I mean, they could still get beat pretty bad here. It's 14-10 at the moment. Seattle, 49ers have the ball as well.
I don't think they can get beat that bad. Can they?
They are in Arizona's red zone right now, actually.
No, but I don't think my defense can lose 10 points.
Oh, good point. Hey, you can't lose 10 points.
I mean, you can lose a decent amount of points, but I don't think I can lose 10.
Well, I mean, Rondale Moore doesn't come back. The game's over anyway. Did he already get? It's a questionable return. Yeah, he's removed from Monday Night Football. Okay.
Yeah.
Touche. Not looking good. Okay. Well, Deebo Samuel, we're hoping you can do something. And Malcolm did just catch a Brandon Ayuk touchdown too, so it is officially done against Max as well. Like officially, no chance of fumbles. That one's over.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much everything is over at the moment.
Which I'm okay with. I'm okay taking a loss this week. Gotta win next week. I've got to win next week, and I've got those last 2 games, and I have to obviously win those games. That goes without saying to finish 7-7.
Yeah, I play Malcolm gets a bye week against me next week, and then it's you.
Man, the last thing I want to do is lose to one of you tanking teams, but that seems like a possibility at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my team, they like to fuck around.
Fair.
And do too well sometimes.
Oh, Colt McCoy threw an interception too, just to add insult to injury and give Ricky even more of a chance to win. All right, so we're in 4th down now. That's just water cooler talk, business as usual. Not a whole lot on my plate outside of me just trying to win for the win to get in the playoffs. I mean, obviously, I made some trades. We didn't really talk about those trades at all.
No, we
I
actually haven't.
traded. I know I traded for Juju Smith-Schuster, and I know Ricky traded for
Alvin
Alvin
Kamara.
Kamara. So there's been some trades. It's been kind of some slow trades before the deadline. Not necessarily like a.
I think a lot of people tried, at least people I spoke with, and I had people offering me a bunch of stuff for my prized possessions. Um, but yeah, there's still at least a decent amount of activity. Just nothing really went through. I think everyone's kind of, at least all of us teams that are out, all we want are draft picks for the most part. Nobody in it really has those left to offer us, so I don't really think that's why a lot of things really happened.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm just looking back. I know I got a lot of trade offers.
Yeah,
Near the deadline,
I got a
I
bunch.
was ready. I was ready to be done with it. I didn't really need to do anything else after that. So,
Yeah, and that's
um,
kind of where I'm at with my team. I like the draft capital I have. And I like the play. I mean, I'm ready to make my cuts right now. Like I'm so ready for next season right now.
I traded a 2023 second round pick and a 2024 third round pick for Juju Smith-Schuster. My 2023 second round pick, I believe that pick was not my pick, and it is Robert Fife's pick, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that was the only real trade I made near the end, and then that Alvin Kamara trade was definitely interesting, and it does look like it's Robert Fife's pick, which should probably be a bottom 2 pick. In the second round, of course, as well, which, again, you can get Malik Willis there and other players similar.
Ooh, Malik Willis.
I was just making a joke to me drafting Malik Willis at that exact spot.
Yeah, no, I know.
Let's see. I was trying to find that trade from
While he's
the trade.
while he's looking for the trade, so we don't have any filler time.
Please.
We If anybody wants to join our podcast, all it takes is Discord. So you can either, hell, say something in the chat or whatever, or text, one of the 3 or 4 of us that are usually on here. It'd be nice to have another opinion other than our own because we're getting boring.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's mix things up a little bit. Let's get some people on here with different takes and see what they've got to have and see what kind of chaos we can provide on this show. Right now, we're pushing about 5 viewers a week. I think we could really get that up into like 8 or 9 viewers a week with a little bit of chaos.
Funny thing is, I don't think I even viewed it last week.
Hit that like and subscribe, guys. Make sure you check us out on Patreon. Well, that was annoying.
Yeah, a little.
I apologize. I had to let the dog out. Of course, now he's barking in the background as well to create even more great podcast content. So, let's see. We've got that trade that I'm still looking for some reason.
He's never going to find it. It's a great trade by Ricky to acquire another piece he needs to make sure he's got a chance to make a run. He's put all his chips in, man. They're all in. Literally all in.
He really went all in on this year, and I have to give him credit for that because
I mean, his team, with what he has, even without having any draft picks, he's gonna have to cut some people. He's gonna have to make some tough decisions with cuts, but like, his team's still good enough to where they're gonna make a run next year too. They're not like they're not old. Like that team's good for at least 2 years, where they're gonna be a competitor, and he's gonna be able to acquire draft picks through trades and whatnot.
He's not super old. He's got some older players, but he's not old. Like, he's not an old team necessarily. So
he's a team that's not going to dominate for the next 5 years, but it's certainly good for the next 2 to 3.
Right. Agreed. So that's my trade with Max. That was Wandell. Man, when did he make this trade for Alvin Kamara, and why can I not find it in normal ways? There was also that Eno Benjamin trade. I know that was a little while ago with you and your dad. I guess that was kind of before the deadline. It's been a few weeks back.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was James Conner was hurt. He needed a bye week, or he needed to fill in.
What an amazing trade for you now.
Yeah, for real. Now that I'm thinking about it.
He got dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But I
That
mean,
ended up being a great trade for you.
he was super useful for my dad for those couple weeks he played. So
Oh, we found that Alvin Kamara trade. So he actually kind of made himself older, by just this trade alone. But moving on, he traded Jerry Judy, Chase Claypool, a 2024 fifth, a 2025 fifth, a 2025 third, and a 2023 fourth round pick, all for Alvin Kamara. So the draft capital really almost worthless outside of the third round
yeah,
pick. Um, and then the Jerry Judy and Chase Claypool combination alone, pretty satisfying return for somebody that wasn't bought in on winning this year at this point, and knew that Alvin Kamara was probably going to face a suspension next year. So, good call on Julius, and I like that trade for both parties because again, I'm bought into Ricky trying to win the next couple of years, but he's really just trying to focus on this year. He's going for Alvin Kamara and giving up two young stud wide receivers. Jerry Judy was looking good at the time of the trade too. So yeah.
and he's gotten hurt since.
Yes, correct. And he's been playing with injuries since too.
Yeah, and then Claypool, he couldn't have seen the Chicago shit happening, but Claypool still hasn't really done anything.
No,
It's just been
it looks like
Justin
he's only
Fields.
made Mooney better.
Yeah,
Claypool, just by being on the field, has made Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet both like superstar athletes out of nowhere.
also great news for me.
Yeah, fantastic news for you. I don't know who has Cole Kmet, but that person too.
My dad, I think he drafted him a couple years ago. It's just been holding on tight.
Well, that worked out great because he's out here making one-handed catches now. So
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive.
two dads just got two guys that just go out here making one-handed catches about every game now: Cole Kmet and George Pickens.
Yeah. Pickens one pisses me off, man. I was so close. So close. One pick away. If I could have added him with Olave, Williams, and James Cook, and probably still Mechie.
Yeah,
So close to one of the greatest drafts of all time, but just missed it.
hindsight's 2020, sir. That's why we do those redraft leagues.
Always
So,
is.
well, we are pushing, man, almost an hour for this show. Does it matter?
47 minutes.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. That's a long show for just two of us, and apparently it wasn't as hard as we thought it was going to be.
Nah.
Well, next time we'll hopefully see some new faces and maybe some old. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Nope.